Welcome to the Caddo Convos, the podcast that explores the vibrant community of businesses thriving in Caddo Office Reimagined. We're here to shine a light on the incredible entrepreneurs and professionals who make the most of our private offices, co-working spaces, and day office rentals in the Dallas-Fort Worth suburbs. Join us as we share their stories, celebrate their successes, and dive into the benefits of working in a space that's close to home but offers so much more than working from home. Let's get started with today's conversation. So I'm joined today on Caddo Convos by Lori Williams. And Lori, tell me about the name of your business and who you serve.
Okay, the name of my business is Lori Williams Senior Services, and we are a placement service. And what that means is we help older adults and their adult children figure out next steps, whether it's staying home as someone is getting older, if they want to stay at home and age in place, or if it's time to look for senior living options like assisted living, memory care, anything like that.
Terrific. And I'm 52. So
Okay.
I'm in what's called the sandwich generation,
Yes,
right?
you are. Yes.
It's not. It's everybody gets to this. If you have parents and you have children, congratulations, you're
Yes.
in the center of the sandwich at some point. So this is a problem I didn't really know I needed a solution for. My parents being still on their own in their house, and they're in their late 70s. So tell me, what got you into this?
Well, my grandmother had dementia, and this was in the early 90s, and I just became interested in aging and what was available, and there wasn't as much available back then. So when my kids started school, I decided I was going to go work in senior living and just learn everything I could. So that's what I've been doing for over 18 years now.
No kidding. You're just a full entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes, I am.
Excellent. So tell me about the who you can serve best, and I imagine you're sitting across from someone you can serve
Yeah,
best.
you're pretty much my ideal customer or client. So typically the seniors themselves want to stay in their home as long as possible,
Makes
which
sense.
the older I get, the more I understand that.
Yep.
Nobody wants to leave their things. So, but there becomes a point, it could be a safety issue. It could be just that they're lonely and isolated and it's time to go to senior living. So, so it's usually the kids end up having to make the decision because something unfortunately will happen, a fall, breaking a hip, a stroke, any kind of medical condition. So a lot of times the adult child has to step in at that point and make the decision.
Yeah, and it's a difficult one for the entire family.
It's very difficult, and we really try to do a lot of education and have people plan and have those conversations. And they're not easy conversations to have, but we really encourage people to know what their parents' wishes are, what their financial situation is, because it's really hard when someone maybe has had a stroke and can't communicate that to you, and now you're trying to figure out what to do for them.
Talk to me about patient education. How do you start the conversation? I imagine they're approaching you with their own set of problems or concerns. So talk to me about how that starts.
So it just depends, and there's all different kinds of situations. So mostly it's the adult child who calls me and says, we have an issue. My, mom has dementia. A lot of times in a couple, one has been covering for the other, and then the one who's still the caregiver and is still functioning, unfortunately, a lot of times is the one who passes away, and then you find out, oh my gosh, I had no idea mom's dementia was so bad. She cannot live alone. So usually it's an urgent situation. We love it when we have a little time to plan and people know kind of what's going on, but it's a lot of educating and what options are available because people, they don't know about this. I mean, you don't want to know about home care, home health, hospice. You don't care until you need to know. Yeah. And then it can be kind of a steep learning curve because everything sounds the same and it's very confusing. So we just, go through what's happening physically, what the financial situation is. We help them if there wasn't like estate planning done, we help them figure out what their parents, Social Security, savings. A lot of times the house can be sold. A lot of people have lived in their homes 40, 50 years. And then, of course, there's the problem with there's, 40, 50 years worth of stuff in the house. Oh, yeah. So we have people that can help with downsizing. And we just try to, figure out where they are and provide them with the resources to help them.
That's terrific. What is the typical engagement to solution timeline?
Again, it's going to depend. If it's an urgent situation where someone has, say, broken a hip, they're not going to be able to go back home. It could be, it could be a couple of days till we figure something out.
Okay,
Yeah.
wow.
Or it could be if, they're going to be in rehab for a while and, we don't need to move as quickly. We have a little bit of time to look at some places, more than just one or two. Then, it could be a month or two. And then if it's someone who is kind of just kind of testing the waters, we have some it's taken a couple of years till they finally made a decision.
Yeah. Because it's a family decision.
It's a family decision.
It involves some stubborn and major life changes. For everyone.
And we try to make it easy for them because we are in and out. I have a team of 7 that work with me.
Okay.
And we're in and out of all these senior living communities. And there's a lot in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we know pricing. We know who the salespeople are. We know who the nurse is, if it's a good nurse, if the company's recently had turnover, because there's a lot of turnover in senior living. There's a lot of companies are, 1 week they're owned by, XYZ, the next week they're owned by someone else. So we stay on top of all of that. And knowing all of that, we're pretty good at saying, these are your top 2 or 3 options. So don't, run all over town looking. These are what you've explained to us, your budget, what the needs are. These are going to be good options.
That's terrific. And you mentioned service area DFW. Is that your...
All of Dallas-Fort Worth, and we're a free service for families too.
Oh, terrific.
So, and we keep it free because we have contracts with the senior community. So it's like a locator service. If you move into one we've referred you to, then they pay a fee, and that's how we can keep it a free service.
So it's a no cost to you
cost.
to reach out to you.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So you, let's switch gears to, you and I are recording here at the Flower Mound location of the Caddo Offices Reimagined. Mm-hmm. Why did you choose Caddo for your, I guess this is your main location?
Yeah, this is the main location. My team members work from their home, and they're spread out all over Dallas. I have a couple nearby, so I love the idea of Caddo because I could have my own private office, but we have the conference rooms where we do our team meetings and trainings. And also we have one lady who is able to come up and work in the open space areas just as part of, the contract. So that works out well. It's been a great location, and it's a beautiful building. We love being here.
That's terrific. And for 18 years you've been in business. Mm-hmm. How long have you been at this Caddo location?
I've been here 2 years. I was in downstairs for a while, and then I moved upstairs.
So I think that's when it opened.
Yes, pretty much it just opened when I moved in.
How did you find it?
I was driving by and saw it, and it's a cool looking building, and I just wondered what it was, pulled in, and was like, okay, this is pretty cool.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
So let's dive back into your business. You have a team of 7. You're serving, the DFW area. What would you say is your number one priority for your business?
The number one priority is we find it very important to provide education because people just don't know what they don't know. So we do lots and lots of speaking engagements. I go all over the place to talk to women's groups, to schools. I mean, anyone who wants us to come in, talk about dementia. I'm a certified senior advisor and a certified dementia practitioner.
Oh, terrific.
And also host a podcast, Aging in Style, which again is just all about communication. We've done, I think, 216 episodes.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. And then I wrote a book in July. My husband had 4 strokes almost 2 years ago.
Oh, goodness, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. But that has taught me so much about caregiving, about strokes, about being an advocate. So I like to share that information as well with people on how to prevent strokes and how to be a caregiver. And I feel like I hate that it happened, but it's put me in a position where I am in their shoes, so I understand.
Right, education and empathy.
Yes.
So education, the community education being a priority for you.
Yes.
I want to circle back to your book. Tell me about the what inspired you to write the book. What's the title of the book, and where can they find it real quick?
It's called Surrounded by Love, One Family's Journey Through Stroke Recovery, and it's on Amazon.
Excellent.
And it's on Audible also.
Excellent.
So I was, prior to my husband having his strokes, I was writing a book about senior living because I always wanted to write a book. And then he had his strokes on Christmas Day, 2022.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, and we have no family, and so it was myself, and our kids were 19 and 26 at the time. So while I was in the hospital with him in the ICU that first night, I kept thinking about my client average age is 85. And I'm like, well, what if I were 85 sitting here instead of, was it 58 at the time? I'm like, I can't even imagine. And so I just started taking notes on my phone. And as I just went through everything and just could not believe, just it's crazy having to navigate through hospitals and just all the, it's insane. So I just started taking notes on everything. And then once he was in rehab for 7 months. So,
oh, goodness.
Yeah. So I was taking notes on all of that. And then I just realized one day, this could really help other people. And I had recorded a lot of podcasts about what was going on. And I just took all of that and just put it into a book.
Wonderful. What a great gift.
Thanks.
To yourself. I mean, because I imagine it's somewhat therapeutic in a way to really put all of your knowledge on the page and sort through all of that, and then of course release it.
Yeah.
And we'll include the book and
Thank you.
basically everything you mentioned in the show notes. So for the audience, just scroll down on whatever platform you're on, and you'll find the link. Amazon and so on. So
thank you.
So educate yourself.
Yes.
Before.
And do what you can to prevent a stroke. And they're not always preventable, but there are certain things you can do. So that's been another big piece of education, because I don't want other families to go through what we've gone through. But also, if you do have someone who's ill, I feel like the book is a way to kind of help you're not alone, and to how to advocate for your loved one.
I like to hear a scenario or a success story, if you have one. Obviously not mentioning names. You served a lot of people, I imagine.
Yes.
So are there people who've come to you you have the 2-dayers, the ones that it's an emergency right now.
Yeah.
And then you have the people who are on the fence. Can you kind of walk me through some of those scenarios from the perspective of the client?
Sure. So one client, and this one always stands out to me, is that they came to me after they had decided on their own to move Dad into an assisted living. And assisted living none of these are cheap.
No.
And we always have to kind of break the news that Medicare does not pay for this. It is private pay. But I had a gentleman who the family on their own thought they were doing the right thing, and they moved into assisted living because he needed meals. That was it. He didn't need any care. Well, what they didn't know, as they were, blowing through his money, he could have gone to an independent living, which is about half the price, and would have got the meals he needed. So we were able to figure something out for him, but they could have made his money last much longer in independent living instead of going through all his money in assisted living. And
Tragic.
Then we had to figure out another option, which we did, but it ended up being a residential care home, like a group home, which, ideally, he would have been better off in assisted living, but that's what we could find to work with his budget. So that's one story. So that's my big reason for education, because I don't want people to make a mistake like that. That could be very costly.
Yeah.
Another was a lady who just did not want to move at all. Her husband had passed away, and she was at home, but she was very isolated. She was no longer driving, and she was just precious and lots of energy and wanted friends, but no one was coming to see her, and no friends were coming to visit because they're all in their 80s. So we moved her to an independent living, very active, and she does everything. She's doing great. I love visiting her and checking in, but she's involved in all the activities and has lots of friends now.
That's wonderful. What's the best way for them to contact you?
They go to my website, which is LoriWilliams-seniorservices.com.
Excellent. And all the information's there.
Everything's there. The book, all the podcast, everything.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah, everything's there.
So we'll include that in the show notes as well,
Okay.
But we'll also break it down for quick links. But I definitely recommend going to the top link, which will be her website, which will have all the answers. Parting thoughts. What do you like to envision beyond the education, just the short version of, how can you help people, and how should they help themselves?
How they can help themselves, and especially, around the holiday season, it's when we get a lot of people calling, because maybe you haven't seen mom or dad, grandma, grandpa, maybe you haven't seen them in 6 months or a year. And they're always going to tell you, we're fine, because they don't want to worry you. They don't want to be a burden. They don't want you to take away their independence, because again, they don't know what they don't know. They're picturing like a nursing home, not all these wonderful places that are available now. So the biggest thing is have those open conversations. And if you go home and you visit over Thanksgiving, Christmas, and you see something, please call us, because it could be as simple as getting some care in the home, or it may be time to be looking at senior living.
Yeah, very good. Well, I appreciate you being on the Caddo Combos today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us today on the Caddo Convos podcast. A huge shout out to our incredible network of members for making our community vibrant and supportive. If you're looking to boost your productivity and reduce the isolation of working from home, consider joining us at Caddo Office Reimagine. Our spaces are designed to meet your evolving needs, support remote work, and foster a sense of community that's hard to find at home. Whether you're a startup aiming for growth, a freelancer seeking a professional setting, or a company looking to optimize resources, Caddo offers a perfect blend of flexibility and innovation. By joining us, you'll be a part of a dynamic business ecosystem that helps you thrive. For more information, visit caddooffices.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Caddo Convos.